The motherfucking god himself, Uchiha Madara, is back. This episode of Naruto Shippuden, once that Madara kicked in, it was clean as a motherfucker. Let's go. So the first few minutes of this episode, I ain't gonna lie, I was like looking at the screen legitimately like, wait a minute, am I rewatching one of the old episodes or something? Because they recapped, in a sense, like for the first 3 minutes or so, the stuff with Obito talking to Naruto, and I'm looking at the screen literally like, what? I'm looking at the title and everything, but I guess they just wanted to refresh anybody that forgot over the, 2-week break since we had the whole Hanabi filler last week or whatever. But ultimately, yeah, aside from that, it was just kind of like Obito's consequences yet again, not completely ruling him out. And one of the things I definitely got to say about the anime is it's making things make a little more sense and a little bit more clear as to why the hell Obito is still alive, because he's been fucked up and everything, and this is only the beginning of it. But the anime, the little explanation that the QB inside of Minato gave and kind of everything around it is making it make more sense. For starters, the Jubi Jinchuriki, when they get extracted, it's very different from all the other tail beasts, because I remember when reading the manga, it was just kind of like throwing it here, throwing it there. I was like, I don't get what the hell is going on. But the way it was explained perfectly and clearly why Obito is still alive after, being extracted or whatnot, it does make more sense. And to be honest with you, I'm like, oh, okay, so even now, Obito wasn't really going to die. He was actually going to live because of the husk of the Ghetto Mazo. So I'm glad that the anime took the time to actually give us a proper explanation, so it's not like, what's going on? And when he was going with a Rini Tensei, I remember in the manga, since I obviously knew from the manga, I wasn't like, freaking out, but I remember in the manga when I was reading that portion, I was thinking to myself like, oh no, he's not about to do this shit. Like, he's not about to just undo everything that just happened. But Madara Uchiha was not having that, baby. Like, Madara Uchiha right now, call him a plot device, call him whatever the fuck you want. I call this motherfucker a beast and a god, and he made this episode. He hands down progressed the war tremendously and took things in a whole new way. I remember in the manga again, and I'm kind of narrating for anime only that they don't understand exactly how people were feeling, what was going on and whatnot, but I remember in the manga up until this point, everybody, including myself, was like, just get Obito the fuck out of here already, just go. And the anime did a decent job at best, I would say that they try to clear up things so that we didn't feel that way. And ultimately, while watching this, I wasn't thinking to myself like, fuck Obito. It was a little bit more like, okay, the Obito stuff is done. Arguably, the beginning of this episode, yet again, going with the Rin shit, I was like, we don't need that right now. It's Madara time, baby. I saw that preview. Don't play with me. So ultimately, I was like, okay, the Obito stuff's done. Enter Madara Uchiha, and he was like a fucking boss in this episode. I loved it. Now, to be honest with you, the whole Black Zetsu thing with him kind of coming in and grabbing Obito and him being a part of Madara's plan, like to hold out and wait for Obito, it might have been shoehorned in at the last minute, because it just kind of seemed weird. The last time we seen Black Zetsu was he was getting knocked out and basically captured by Chojiro, that, guy from the Mizukage's village or whatever. So it might have been, I don't know, but ultimately with him coming back, basically he was like, no, Obito, you're not pulling the same shit that Nagato pulled. Fuck you. Which was very good, because if we would have a repeat, then first of all, it would have been like, so you're doing the same shit again. Second of all, it would have been just horrendous, because that's basically undoing everything up until now a part of this war. And how the fuck are you gonna do that? So very good in that aspect. So if it was shoehorned in, it was a good shoehorn. The scene where Madara was like looking at his hand and everything, you get to see his face and everything, the art and animation was just looking really fucking good in certain scenes. I remember thinking to myself like, oh my gosh. And then the fluidity of the movements when Madara and Sasuke are going at it, there were only like little small scenes that didn't look amazing, but those scenes I was just like, yes, this is what I'm fucking talking about. Let's talk about that Sasuke, because this episode also gives more into his characterization and the strong resolve he's finally had. Up until now, Sasuke has always been swayed one way or another. Obito talked to him, Obito told him he went this way, then he heard this, and he went that way. I think at this particular point you could see he was like, no. When Madara was like, come on, man, we're the last two Uchiha, I respect your power, we can do some great things, let's go. And Sasuke's like, you're dead, man, right? First of all, bullshit. Like, some of the things that Sasuke has done, especially starting from, like, when he was like, nah, they're gonna burn, and then he went even to kill Obito after they extracted Obito, the Jubi from him or whatnot. You can see that his resolve is very clear. I think it's very stern, and it's very militant in a certain degree, because it's kind of like, he's like, no, I'm not fucking joining you, you're gonna die. But then at the same time, if you look back to earlier events, he was like, no, I'm gonna burn, everything is gonna change, I'm starting something different. So you can definitely see that he has his own resolve and his own way, and this episode clearly showed it. He's like, nah, Uchiha Brotherhood, get the fuck out of here. And now one of the things that people will probably argue is, why did Madara want to come back alive? Like, wouldn't you be, if anything, a lot stronger and overall more just immortal in a sense, while being actually immortal, you know, like nobody could basically stop you? But that kind of is a testament in a way to Madara Uchiha's power. Just think about it for a second. He is stronger with his natural abilities as a human being than basically having immortality and unlimited chakra. Well, you could argue that's hacks as a motherfucker, but that's just what Madara Uchiha is. I mean, at the end of the day, he can do better and greater things as a living human being than an immortal zombie. Yeah. And this is just me, or does anybody want to say, Hashirama, please get out of the fucking scene? Because it's kind of like, this is the first Hokage, one of the strongest ninja of all time, and he's basically at Madara's mercy on his feet, getting the chakra sucked out of him, because you can see while things didn't go according to 100% plan with Madara, things were out of order, ultimately his revival was part of his plan, and using the DNA from Hashirama was definitely a part of it as well, because why would he immediately do that? So you can see, even though he doesn't have his Rinnegan anymore, which again, you would think this man is a blind man, what is he doing? How is he gonna fucking sustain this? Ultimately, he's still bossing. He's still doing big things. I mean, Sasuke's going full fucking force, and Madara's just basically like dodging and everything without eyes. Like, anime did do a little bit of censorship at the end where Madara basically fucked up a bunch of those fodder, and you're supposed to see like them dying a little bit, but the anime kind of like, you know, blacked it out, and then next thing you know, you see Madara standing on one of them. So fuck censorship, but ultimately Madara Uchiha standing on a dead body like, oh, those tail beasts are next. Like, if this episode did anything, first of all, it progressed to the next stage of this war, the final fight basically, so to speak, with Madara Uchiha, getting kind of past the Obito stuff, showcasing that Obito's still gonna live. So it did a lot of things as far as to progress to the next part of the story and the next part of this war, and ultimately showcasing Madara, even though he's by himself now, he's stronger than ever. Fucking amazing. This episode, I'd argue between an 8.5 to a 9. The beginning of this episode definitely didn't need to see more of that Obito shit and that Rin shit yet again. But, I mean, come on. The build-up, the fucking amazing build-up in this episode. It was great stuff. So, between an 8.5 to a 9 for this episode. I loved it personally as a fan. This was a fucking amazing episode for that Madara Uchiha. Ugh. I love it. I love it. But let me know what you thought of this episode. First of all, for manga readers that are kind of seeing it, the anime, the way the anime is kind of adding things in there, do you think that it was good that they explained a little bit better how Obito is going to live even after those events? And while, yeah, he did try to use Renny Tensei, ultimately the reason why he didn't die when Madara basically double-crossed him and used him as a sacrificial lamb is because of Zetsu being on him. Yeah, it kind of seems as though it's filling out these holes or whatever, but ultimately I think it's making a little bit more sense than the manga and kind of being explained a little bit better. What do you think about Madara Uchiha? I mean, God or no God? God, right? But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you can do so as well, that'd be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.